learn some of this today, but we just wanted I just wanted to let Jenessa talk and you guys ask her questions or whatever. If there's nothing that we're keeping secret or anything like that. She wants you guys to know how she feels too. And I'm sure if I was you guys, I'd be curious. If I wasn't her dad been there just about the whole time, I'd have a big old list of things I've been wondering about. So I just thought that if that sounds cool to y'all, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I guess the way Nessa's done several of these like interviews on TV and stuff, and it kind of works out where they just kind of ask some questions. So I might know the answers already, but I'll ask some questions and she can just let you guys talk. So what happened?
Well, so it started where I was at cheer practice and they decided they wanted to take a picture of the goalpost, and so we all went out there and there were already 3 people up there and I was helping the 4th one up, and she was really scared, and so I told her, like, don't worry, if you're gonna fall, I'll punch you. And then I thought I saw her falling, so I ran under there to catch her, and it ended up being the whole goalpost falling. So yeah, it fell on me, and I got a lot of fractures in my head and a lot of things wrong with me now, I guess. But
So what all is wrong with you right now? Like what are you dealing with right now?
I have a broken jaw and a ton of fractures in my head. They explained it like if you throw a rock on the ground and it shatters, that's basically what my head looks like right now. So you can't really count how many fractures there actually is.
And so on the outside, her skull though, her skull's got some fractures in it in several places. But the major part, like she's talking about, is in the base of the skull and in the sinuses. And they went in with surgery and cleaned all that stuff out now. So it's not like there's anything rattling around in there. And the outside is actually still intact. It just has fractures in it that didn't move at all and will fuse right back together in 6 weeks from the accident, which is still about, 3 more weeks or so, a little less than that now, before those heal up. So, and yes, her jaw's wired shut, right? So, I mean, that's why I'll spare her some words here and there. She's been doing this quite a bit, so that way she don't have to talk the whole time. But yeah, so her jaw's wired shut, and she actually carries around, do you have those, she's got wire cutters that she has to carry around all the time. And the reason is because like she hasn't gotten sick or had to throw up or anything like that, but if something were to make her nauseated, just like any of you guys might get nauseated at any random time, you smell something weird or whatever. If she were to throw up and she can't open her mouth,
hopefully it's not
bad.
quick because my first eats
Yeah.
those.
So we need a better system for that. But yeah, so she'll just clip them and that way she can open them. We just go back to the doctor and they wire them
that's
back up.
actually the first time that I haven't been able to have them just like on me because I don't have any pockets. So I gave them to my mom. Maybe it wasn't the best idea.
So she's got these cool glasses now.
Yes. They don't have any prescription in them. Like I actually see clear without them because they get so like foggy. But they're for protection. So like if I don't see something coming at me and it hits my head, it'll hit my glasses first basically. And they won't mess up my eye.
And her left eye works just fine. I say it works just fine. She can see out of it clearly. It won't move all the way to the left. So, and her right eye is the one that the problem is right now. And we keep saying she can't see out of it right now because we believe, and we're asking everybody, and I know you guys have been praying. That's our main request is that her right eye gets sight back, and so it doesn't. At the beginning, the doctor said, and this was true for the first 5 days, the doctors kept coming in and testing every day, like, hey, this is never coming back. It's not going to move. It's not going to ever see again. It's just, that's what happens when the nerves are broken. And then on the 5th day, they came and they did some tests. We asked them to get an MRI and all this. They finally did. He finally came, tested it one more time, and she detected the light. Like they would hold a really bright light in her eye, and say, can you see anything? Can you see any light or anything? They'd move it on and move it off. And she's like, yeah, it looks a little bright. And they're like, maybe she's just saying that. So they'd pull it off and try to mess with her. They cover one eye, so she couldn't see out of this one. So the only thing she could see would be out of her right eye. And they'd move it on and move her off. Well, tell us when it's on. And so she'd move, and she got it right like 20 times in a row. Clearly, she could detect something, which they said nothing. And so the doctor was like, that's incredible. He used the word incredible. And he said this shouldn't have happened. A few days later, her eye started opening. She didn't even know it. She was watching TV, and I looked at her, and her right eye was opening. Just almost, not like normal exactly, but almost all the way. Definitely past the pupil, and it hadn't done that the entire time. And I said, what are you doing? Because her eye looked, she just sat there with one eye closed the whole time. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, what? And I said, what are you doing with your eye? And she's like, nothing. And I said, no, your eye's open. And she's like, I don't know, because she can't feel anything over there. And so she didn't know. But what that is those nerves that aren't supposed to regenerate are regenerating. And so she's still got a ways to go out of that because there's no, but.
Yeah, I can open my eye. It's pretty.
Oh yeah, she has an awesome trick. Check this out. So her left eye can move around, right eye can't move, but she can open them and do these cool party tricks. Can you move it around? Move one around and leave one still. I kind of wish I could do it. You know?
Which is incredible because you couldn't open that.
Yes.
At all.
Yes.
And now I can open it a ton.
Yeah, that's great.
And she is getting a little more feeling back up here. And hey, as we go here, if you guys have any questions or anything to jump in, you feel free. Plus, if you think of a question, it's less that she has to feel up here awkward and be like, what, trying to think of something to say. So if you guys think of a question, please ask.
Does your left eye get pretty tired?
Yeah. It's kind of like reading all day. It's just like your eyes get tired, and like you're not really that tired, but your eye is. That's pretty much what it is.
And one eye is doing double the work, and she's really done a ton today. She was on the news this morning, did an interview for Channel 7 that's supposed to come on at 6 in the morning, I think, tomorrow. This is just today, so she did that at 9 o'clock or 9:30, and then she went home, took a little nap, came back about 11, and went to school for her first time since the accident. Went to 4th hour, went to lunch with Cole. I was freaking out because I'm with her all the time.
I said it's fine. Cole can handle it.
She came back in one piece. So then she went to 5th hour, and it was my class, and we did one of these sort of things, and so she talked a lot then. Then she went home again for a little bit, and then went to basketball practice where she walked around dribbling.
I got to do a lot of dribbling today.
Wow, that's
She can pass the basketball and catch it good, track it just fine with one eye.
Yeah,
There's not been any problem with that.
That's something that's different. So, basketball, normally when the pass gets past you, you can just catch it and like it be normal. But I actually have to watch it go all the way into my hands before I do anything because it's gonna help me in the future. And that's a hard habit to get into because normally they pass it to you, you just catch it and then do the next thing. I actually have to like watch it into my hands, like all the way in.
That's the way you coach receivers in football. NFL receivers, Jerry Rice, every time would look at all the best receiver of all time, would look into his hands. Randy Moss, all the best receivers do that. And you got guys like OBJ that's just like, but that's not how you're supposed to catch a ball. That's why he's famous for it. 'Cause every once in a while you get lucky like that.
And
But
then, also, like when I play defense, I have to like have my hand out like here because I can't see over here. Like I can't see my finger right now, and so like I have a pretty limited range of vision.
So move it to where you can see. So you can't see it
So
here
I
and then.
can't see it here, and then I can see it here.
So she still has about this range out here all the way till where, like there.
Yeah.
So she's really only lost, I say only because it's a big deal, but she's only lost about this much of her peripheral vision there. She does have to move and be more aware and move her head and stuff, But
I have to move my body to look left like this because my eye doesn't go all the way to the left, and so like to look at my dad, I couldn't just do that. I had to like actually turn my whole body.
And then she went home from basketball practice and then went out and walked a mile. Outwalked me. I'm like, just slow down. Yeah, so she's been pretty busy. When she took a nap a minute ago, we were running a little bit late because we didn't wake her up on time. It's my fault. But, yeah. So then the next thing is we got to wait for her school to heal up, which is supposed to take 6 weeks from the original time. Her jaw, when's your jaw?
3 to 6 weeks from Thursday.
So hopefully her next appointment is the day before Thanksgiving. So we're hoping that he either says, oh, you're all the way healed, we can just take all that off, or that he can take off the wires and put rubber bands. He said usually he doesn't do that, especially for teenagers, because it's hard to keep them on. But there's a possibility of rubber bands at that point to finish up. So we're hoping for at least that, because Thanksgiving's the next day. She's not a huge fan of like the Thanksgiving food, but she would prefer it to be a little bit more normal.
I not have to drink Thanksgiving.
To drink things.
I have to get you a blender. I don't know what blended turkey tastes like, but
Probably tastes like turkey.
But her ear, her left ear is, there's 3 bones in your ear. 2 of the bones are displaced like it's supposed to be like this. They're like this. The right ear, they said it looks like a bomb went off in the ear. There's no, it's just fragmented. And he said that when he came in the last time, he'd been coming in a bunch. And, you know, he told us how the surgery went and that he vacuumed out a lot of the debris. But then the last time he came in, he said, okay, after you get everything done, we'll wait like 6 weeks or something. Once you get everything done, this will be the last thing. But there's pretty much 2 options, because he said that she can't hear, which I don't believe that. I think she can hear some out of that. I think it's muffled, but she can hear. But he said she shouldn't be able to hear. And we can do 2 things. One, a series of surgeries. One, including a craniotomy, because her brain is kind of going down into the ear canal from the top major fracture that's up there. And so you can't go from underneath, you have to actually go from above to lift that. And so there'd be several surgeries, or just close off the ear completely and put a bone conducting hearing aid. But I don't think either one of those are going to be fully necessary, because I think she can hear somewhat out of there. So, but he said that, he said that they will do some hearing tests then and assess what we would need to do. But I think she'll be fine.
Yeah. The way I hear like myself is super echoey and super muffled. Like my dad said, it's pretty much like if you cover your ears like this and count to 10.
Yeah, you want to try it? You just cover your ears and then count to 10 out loud. Just go ahead, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like that feeling. So there's 2 ways you can hear, right? There's through the actual ear, where you're feeling the vibrations of the air against your eardrum. The other way, and then that stimulates your nerve that makes sound perceived in your brain. The other way is through the actual bones behind your ear vibrating that nerve, where you hear that as well. So when you cover your ears, the air's not coming through to vibrate. You're hearing most only from that vibration of the bones in your head. So that's basically what she's hearing now, is not as much of the air vibrations and more of the bone vibrations. Yeah.
So like my voice to me sounds super loud and echoey. So it's hard for me to tell if I'm talking quiet or if I'm talking really loud.
We were at the Binger game last night, and she dropped that big old cup, and it was so loud.
And to me, it sounded like that, like just like a normal, like that. And everybody looked at me so loud.
We're still seeing. So we're still kind of seeing how that hearing is really affected.
Mackenzie actually looked at me and I was like,
I thought she fell. And I was like,
I did too.
and I was like, huh?
I had no idea what even
I was already
happened.
half out of my seat when I figured out what to do.
But I have to always have this because I still have some packing in my nose from one of the surgeries, and so I can't really breathe out of my nose that well. And so I have to breathe out of my mouth, which makes it super dry. And so I have to have water, and it's super hard to understand me when my mouth is dry. So.
I mean, I lick my lips all the time. It's the habit I got, and so you get dry, you go to lick your lips. Probably me saying it right now is making you aware enough to where you want to lick your own lips. And she can't do that with her jaw shut. But I think, you guys, just what was it? Like 2 weeks, maybe the week before the accident, she was here right in this spot teaching you guys some stuff about the thing. And then to go from there to the things that happened, and here's the next time she's here, is pretty dramatic. But let me tell you just a couple of the miraculous stories that has happened since that happened. So since that moment, well, first of all, the way that it fell and hit her, it's a weird way to say it, but it hit her at just the right spot. Because had it hit her just a little bit higher, then it had been brain damage and possibly death. If it had hit her a little bit lower, it would have been paralysis and probably death, just a little bit different. But instead, it hit her at just the right spot, and where it's basically. So it's actually, it's not really clear, but the way it all broke, most likely it hit her just above the ear, probably some on her ear. But what you have a bone that goes through the middle of your head that's underneath your brain, that your brain actually sits on. It's called the sphenoid bone, and that's the bone that has so many of the breaks. You got a break here right above her ear in the temporal bone, and then behind the temporal bone is the sphenoid, and it's got all kinds of breaks to it, and it's got another break right here. That is the thing that absorbed all the force.
It's like an
Had it been
airbag.
brain or soft tissue, either direction, that would have killed her or caused these permanent damage. And instead, we're talking about where she's got 6 weeks before it heals up.
The neurologist, before he met her, he looked at her scans, and then he came in, and he didn't think that he would actually talk to the person whose scans he saw.
He thought they were so bad that she wouldn't, if she even survived, that there would be brain damage and she wouldn't be able to communicate. But she's Nessa,
Yeah.
and she's still got her personality.
Yeah.
And so another part, as she fell and it fell, we've seen the video, and it just bounces at just the right spot, it starts to roll up onto the top of her skull where it would have crushed her. But instead, one of the cheerleaders who fell and actually hit the pole as the pole was bouncing and reset it back to that exact same spot instead of it continuing to move and crush the rest of the top of her skull. So it's just miracle after miracle that kept her alive. Once we got to the hospital, we got so many stories, but I might just tell you one or two. So she was supposed to have jaw surgery, 7 a.m. And
this is a few days into
yeah, probably 5 days into it or so.
Yeah, the thing happened on Monday,
Yeah.
and this was probably Thursday.
Okay. So that morning she's supposed to go into surgery at 7. So she has to not eat or drink any water the night before.
water even.
Yeah, so you can not eat, and that's not that bad, but no water when you go to sleep or when you wake up, so 7 a.m. that's not bad. She can handle that. Well, about 6:30 or so, they call us and say, hey, another trauma has happened, and your surgery is going to have to get bumped till 3 in the afternoon. So you're going to have to keep not eating, keep no water the whole rest of the day till 3. So we're like, golly, man, what's more important than getting her jaw fixed? She's been sitting there for almost a week. Well, about 11 o'clock that day, her nose started leaking cerebral spinal fluid, brain fluid. She had a hole that they didn't know about in her spinal fluid sac. They call it the dura around your brain. And she was leaking brain fluid out of her nose. a lot of it. And so what she stood up and went to brush her teeth and then screamed for a headache. And if y'all know Nessa, she's tough as nails. And then she started to pass out. I happened to be there, got her back to her bed so she didn't fall. And got her back in the bed. She had these things. The doctors came in. It's like, she's got this leak on her brain. We have to get this fixed. I talked to the surgeon who was supposed to have done that morning, a little bit later on. And he said, it's just, his words were, she's super lucky, because if that would have happened on the table, it would have been the worst, because they wouldn't have known it. Her brain fluid would have leaked out. She probably would have never woke up from the anesthesia. Second time her life's been saved right there. And it may be more than that, but just at least those two that we know about right there, bam, bam, that would have made all the difference. And so because she had fasted and had that surgery, she was ready to go for the surgery right then.
I was actually brushing my teeth because they were about to come get me for surgery. And so, like, that's how close it was. Like, I was brushing my teeth because they were about to give me a jaw surgery, and then I just passed out and fall into his arms. And, like, I'm so lucky that they didn't actually, like, come get me for surgery, because, like you said, I would have probably died on the table if they would have.
And we know, and you guys all know, that we're not talking about luck right here.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
that's not what we're talking about. So many people have been praying for her all over the country. I know you guys have been going nuts. And all sorts of people all over the place know her story and have been praying for her constantly. And clearly, those prayers have been answered over and over and over. Her recovery has been lightning fast. Her life's saved like half dozen times. It's just one thing after the next. She's got the best doctors in that place, which are the best. Some of them are the best doctors in the nation. And they don't ever see cases themselves. They have people under them, and then they just kind of oversee the whole hospital. Well, these guys went and took her case specifically. The best doctor, I don't know if you guys followed my story or anything. I was writing on Facebook a lot. I wrote a lot. Sorry about that. But I wrote, anyway, one of the best doctors there happened to be in the room with me talking about the brains thing. Just that was a extreme blessing that we've been praying for. That doesn't happen. He doesn't come and see guys. But he did. And then the other guy that is his specialty is using the scope to go through the nose to get to the exact spot that this other doctor specializes in there. And he happened to walk by the room, and this doctor saw him and called him in there and said, "Hey, come look at this scan." The scan had just then been finished. She wasn't in the room because she went to get the scan. The scan came up, and actually the doctor tried to see the scan. It wasn't there. He refreshed it again, scan was up. And then right then, he and I talked about it for like 2-3 minutes. I got to see the scan immediately and his interpretation of the scan right there. Other doctor walks by, he catches him, says, "Hey, come look at this." They go by, 3 minutes of genius doctor talk back and forth with each other. They have this plan to go knock it out in the next day. And they both have this, they're ready to go. And he tells his team, and then his team talks. Well, these guys just talk directly. Saved all that confusion. There's no misinterpretation of anything. Again, just happened to walk by. Didn't happen to walk by. You guys know exactly how that took place. And so it's all these things, man, just working out. And then now she's has a chance. People are on the news, and she's getting to tell that story and getting to spread that message. And people see her and know who she is, and she gets to give God the glory. And I mean, you guys know me, I'm a science teacher. I look at evidence, I look at stuff that's really, you can't deny this stuff. And besides that, her eye hasn't been totally healed yet, even though we've been praying super hard. We trust, and ever since the first, if you guys were there when it happened, and I know some people were around, we handled it, but partly because of our total trust in God. We know this is a terrible thing. Somehow, it's for the best. We know that. We see that in different ways. So when you see Nessa up here in these different ways, we know that her story is going to move people and make a big difference in the world. Real difference. Much more than anything else we had planned on our own.
So what actually happened in that surgery that he was talking about with the genius Dr. Talk was, so they went up through my nose and super close to my brain, like almost to my brain, and fixed the sinuses or.
They said the hole in the dura was huge.
Yeah, so she's leaking that brain fluid out of there, and they had to go patch it up so she didn't leak the brain fluid anymore.
And they patched it up by using some skin from my stomach, and so I have a spot right there now, but it won't scar, they say. And then they did something to my back.
Yeah, so in order to help that drain after they patched it, because like if you imagine you patch a swimming pool, but then you filled the pool all the way up, it might pop again. Well, if you leak some out of the pool, it's not going to be as much pressure.
You give it a chance to dry.
Yeah, so it gave it a chance, the leak patch, to have a chance to dry. They drained some more out of her back. Because your brain fluid goes in your brain and then through the middle of your back around your spinal cord. And then, so they poke the bottom of it and they can drain it out the back in a controlled way, just like a siphon. And they put it into a little tube and they dripped it out.
And y'all should have seen Dan bossing those nurses around. Oh, I would not have wanted to be a nurse that week.
It had to drop out at just the right rate. It had to be at 10 cc
He sat there and counted the drips. He said, okay, 17 drips too many. You need to slow that down. Like, he was intense.
They were doing it wrong.
He sat there for 4 hours
Counting drips. It needed to be 38 drips per second or per minute. And if it was more than 38 or less than 38, he was going out and getting that nurse. That nurse might have been helping that patient that was next door coding, but she's going to come in here and fix the drips. But most of the nurses was really accommodating and enjoyed that because he did their job for them. There was a few of them that may have called security on him a couple times.
They just done their job.
But yeah, so I have I have packing up in there, just normal packing that will dissolve eventually, and then I had some packing that was like a 12-inch long, like tissue paper almost, I guess.
Like gauze. Yeah.
Gauze, and so then they just they put that up my nose and then folded it around and it went out both sides and was tied together with like a twisty tie type thing that was coming out of my
And then you
nose.
stuffed it all back up in there and plugged it.
Yeah, it was like 12 inches long. It was really
It was
long.
like
Was you awake when they took it out?
yes,
Did it
when
feel good coming
they
out?
said
Or did it
blow.
hurt?
It hurt so bad.
They said blow and I'll pull it out. And so she pulled it out and like this much came out and I was like, okay, she's almost done. And then double that came out and I'm like, okay, she's got to be almost done. And then triple that came out and I'm like, holy crap, that's awful. And she's almost crying because it hurt so bad. And then finally she was done. And then the blood came out her nose and her mouth a whole lot because that packing was like keeping it in there. But it was awful.
Was it uncomfortable in your nose, like while it was in there?
Yeah, it felt like a whole bunch right here. Like it just felt like a whole bunch of stuff up my nose.
But she pretty much doesn't have sinuses anymore. So the doctor said that she probably will never have a sinus infection or anything because all that, there's nothing that'll get clogged.
I've had allergies for a year and a half now.
There's the goalpost back up.
Oh goodness.
In there tomorrow.
Today, the news people wanted to interview her on the football field. And so she hadn't been out to the football field or anything. And so we drove her out there and she said, okay, I'm fine with it, but I don't want to go close to the field goal post. And Dan said, you don't have to go close to the post or anything like that, but it is secure. It is safe. And she looked at him and said, it's being held up by a chain, Dad.
I guess
I heard a college is donating some.
Iowa.
Collegiate field goal posts to the school.
There's a field goalpost company in Iowa that's contacted Cyril High School, and they're going to donate us 2 collegiate goalposts. It's what the
They
story
told me
is.
that when I was in the hospital bed, and I said, "You're welcome."
Get the other question.
So yesterday at school, your dad was telling us about how you were brushing your teeth and stuff, and he said you like started screaming about your headache. Like, was it like felt like your head was gonna explode or something? Like, was it that bad or?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. The CSF, I had probably about 3 or 4 like that. That it just felt like I don't know. They were putting a whole bunch of pressure in my head, and like I just wanted to like grab my head, and like you know when you get pain like that, and you just want to like grab it, and it doesn't really do anything, but it kind of makes you feel like it helps.
So what happened was the CSF, the cerebral spinal fluid, that's the brain juice that your brain literally floats in the bag. Well, if your brain's floating in that bag, and her bag had a leak in it, so that water drained out, so guess what? It's like if you had a basketball sitting in there, that ball would start to sink down. And then as it's sinking down, it's resting on that sphenoid bone that has all the fractures in it. So it's all fractured like this, and then the brain rests down on that. And so, and then she gets up to brush her teeth, which if she's super still, it's kind of, but then she leans over to spit, and her brain just on that deal.
Like when you kind of shake your head when you brush your teeth, and so it's just pretty miserable when I got the headache. But that's a lot of the reason why I don't really know that much details about that surgery. I know they went up my nose, and I had something in my back, and there was a bunch of dripping. But I either had crazy, insane headaches, or I was sleeping.
And she had bad sensitivity to the light, so we had to keep all the lights off. And if anyone came in, she had like a mask that she'd put over her eyes because any amount of light just was excruciating.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know very much about that surgery.
She slept a lot.
I slept and I was in pain, so I didn't really care about the surgery. I was just kind of like, fix me. And then,
Fix me. Fix me now.
yeah,
When did the headache stop?
pretty much after they got to take the drain out of my back is when the headaches pretty much stopped.
So she had the surgery, and then they put the drain in. She had to have the drain in for 5 days straight. So she laid in a bed for 5 days straight. Her only job was to drip that drain out.
And when those nurses were really good about that 38 drips per minute or whatever, then her headaches were fine. But if there was too many drips or not enough drips, then it got bad.
Like, I
Yeah.
had to watch that, 'cause otherwise my daughter's gonna get a bad headache. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll be back in a minute. I'm like, no, you're coming in right now. It's at 13 drips and he's been 19 fixes. So, yeah. But that once she was there for 5 days, which she did sleep a lot in that, but I mean, what are you gonna do for 5 days when you have to just lay in a bed?
She watched a lot of Friends.
I watched a lot of Friends. I got to drink a Coke float at one point. I don't know if it was in the ICU. I think it was. But
I think it was.
I don't know if it was or not.
What is your favorite thing you're like drinking right now?
Coke floats.
Coke floats?
I have to manage those because it's bad calories. It's ice cream and pop. So,
She lost, how much she lose?
15 pounds.
So do you really have to care about the calories right now?
We got 3 weeks of Coke floats
actually
worth.
care, so it doesn't, like, I don't get, like, drained, I guess.
Gotcha.
I keep the energy, and
Like
I
a
can't
sugar.
really brush my teeth.
And she can't consume all that much. And so if she just drinks the Coke float, then that's not enough nutrients.
She's full for a little while.
Yeah.
So she didn't want the nutritious drink.
Yeah.
No, but she can have whatever she asks for.
Yeah.
He would buy her a new car right now if she asked for it.
And she doesn't ask for anything. I was like, what do you want? I took like 5 days. What do you want? Do you want to go on a shop? We'll go buy you some clothes, buy you whatever else. I mean, we don't, it's not like we're rich or anything, but we just like, dude, I want to give her something she wants, like it's Christmas or something. So finally she goes, I thought of something finally. It's like 4 or 5 days of me just I'm trying to cheer her up and stuff. She's like, said she wanted tires.
For her. She
That's
said,
$40.
It's the thing I want. It's over $500. I think I was pretty smart.
so she had new tires on her car before we even got home from the hospital.
There you go.
Yeah, and then I had a jaw surgery and surgery on my ear.
But she talks really well for not being
Yeah.
able to move her mouth at all. Like, it is solid.
My mom said that you need to start practicing, and because you could be an extremely good ventriloquist.
And we went to the dentist on Monday just so he can check things out and tell her how to clean her teeth so she's not have like 100 cavities by the time she got done. He said she did not look like someone that has had a broken jaw for 3 weeks. Her teeth looked great. And the day they unwire her jaw, no matter when it is, no matter how many patients he has, she has it in her chart that she is to be seen that day. He's going to fix her teeth that day. He's already talked to her orthodontist, and they already have a plan for fixing the gappiness that the breaks caused and fixing the teeth and everything the day that she gets unwired.
So I'm probably gonna have to have like Invisalign or braces or something again. But it probably won't be for as long as the first time. But I had so the breaks in my jaw was here, 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 and here. And so the break that was here, like right under my nose, is actually what caused my teeth to go apart because I mean the jaw went apart and so the teeth just kind of like followed. But
So once she gets stuff off her jaw unwired, then she'll be able to get her teeth fixed pretty quick. Like that dentist said, hey, as soon as you come over. And if we're at lunch, we'll come back.
He said, I'll
and
work through lunch if I have
do
to.
what
I
we
don't
have to
care.
do
I'm
to
going to
get her
fix
in
it.
that day. So everybody's been super nice about it. Yeah, Cash.
Did you have a broken nose?
no, I don't know how. But I didn't. I just broke right here, right here, right here, right here, and then a whole bunch of places in my head.
Because her nose wasn't broken, they could go into her brain and fix her brain through her nose. Basically, they take a scope, like a long tube that's got a camera on the end and a knife. And they put it all the way up your nose, as far as it'll go. Then they cut through the hole in the back, and then they put it a little bit further. And that's one doctor whose specialty is doing that. And then he literally hands the controls over, it's almost like an Xbox controller, it's way complicated, to the brain surgeon, who then fixes the leak, and then he gives it back to the nose surgeon, who pulls it back out, gets the part from her fat, puts it back together, and closes her nose up, pulls it out, packs her nose.
And
So since her nose wasn't broken,
another God thing is they were going to fix her jaw, and but in order to do that, she has to be get sedated. In order to get sedated, they have to go through her mouth. They can't do that because they're wiring her jaw shut. So then they had to go through her nose. They couldn't do that because she had all the packing from the CSF leak. So what they were going to have to do is cut here and go up her mouth from underneath her chin. But that
because all the timing with the CSF delays, she was able to get through that, and they did the surgery just fine through her nose.
yeah.
So again, we're like, man, this is taking forever. But had it taken one day less, she might have had to have her neck cut right there.
And that would have been a
Permanent
lot
scar
longer of a
and a dangerous
recovery.
surgery.
Did they
Yeah.
have to re-break any of her jaw? Had it set any?
No, she has a hairline fracture here, and they thought they might have to put a plate in that. But otherwise, it was just displaced, and I mean, it was broken off over here, but they did not have to reset it.
They actually-
it had healed a little, but it didn't heal like it was. It would have healed in the wrong place, but the way that works, it's not like going to fuse to the bone again. So there wasn't anything that had to re-break. So.
Yeah, they actually said the mandible shifted when they moved it back. And they had said that if the mandible shifts, then they put a plate in. But exactly where it was broken was the nerve that makes you be able to feel your tongue. And so they didn't want to mess with any more nerves in her face. So they just set it. And then after they set it, the next day they did a x-ray to make sure they set it in the right spot and there's nothing being pinched or anything. And then they just said, while it's wired, then it'll set right without the plate
if she would have had a broken nose like that, or it wouldn't have been whatever, the other way you fix that brain leak is by cutting an incision here all the way around, taking the top of her head up, and then moving the brain out of the way a little bit, and then you go in and fix it that way through the side. That's full out brain surgery. But instead, they should go up through the nose, pop this out, fix it with fat, wait for a few weeks, make sure it doesn't leak out, and you're good.
We've been saying tissue,
Miracle after miracle.
belly tissue from her belly.
Oh, belly, yeah. Everybody's got that. I don't care if she is or what. You have fat in places, and that's just it's not like it's medical fat. It's not obesity.
It's not Brandon fat.
Not Dan fat.
Speaking, she said something about the nerves in my face, and it got me thinking. So on the right side of my face, the nerves are really messed up. So like it kind of feels like if your foot goes to sleep, and then you go to like touch your foot, that's kind of what it feels like with my face. So I can't really like it. Pretty much a straight line down the middle of my face that I can't really feel. So like I had water on my chin today at practice, and I just couldn't feel it. And so my dad was like, "You got water on your chin." Like, oh dang it! And then like, or my nose will start bleeding because of the packing that was in there, and I just don't realize because like I just don't have any feeling. And then they'll be like, your nose is bleeding, like you have blood almost to your lip. And I'm like, oh, I have to get it. Thanks, guys.
So if you notice it, just be like, hey.
You got
You get
blood
it,
coming out
because she
your nose.
doesn't know, and so yeah, help a girl out. Yes. We probably should wrap it up pretty soon, but anybody one or two more questions? I don't know if I want to make sure everybody has time to.
Yeah, I'm an open book, I really am. You can ask me about any of it.
I don't have a question. I'm sure you already know this. I just want to tell you that I am beyond proud of you and your family for your attitude and your optimism, and we know exactly who took care of you
For sure.
and
Thank
who's
you.
going to continue to take care of you. So I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
She had a really cute poster on her wall that said, "I'm cute, feed me."
That's one of my biggest prayers right now. I know it's really weird, but I really need to gain some weight because I lost 15 pounds in the hospital. I weigh somewhere between 110 and 112 right now. So I really need to gain some of that weight back so I can, it's muscle weight, and I am less prone to injuries when I get back to basketball season and stuff like that. So yeah, pray for that and my eye and everything that we've talked about already.
Is there anything else you want to tell the people? Any other? They always ask at the end. The news people say, "Is anything that we left out?" I have another question.
When do you think you'll get back to cheerleading and basketball?
Well, they say probably about my birthday, hopefully. So like December 28th.
Still pushing it a little bit, but that's kind of what we're trying.
If it's up to her, it's going to be December 1st.
Yes,
But that's gonna.
My recovery has gone extremely fast compared to what they thought it was going to be. Like, I've walked at least a mile every day since I've been back. Most days, like a mile and a half. So, like, I don't know.
I don't know if she'll cheer again, though.
Did they suggest you do that, Nessa?
They said
Walk,
I can do
exercise?
as much as I feel like.
Awesome.
So they thought you could get up and walk 3
Yeah,
4
like-
times.
Yeah, they didn't
Go to
know
the
she was
refrigerator.
Nessa.
She could go walk a mile, go to basketball practice. She went to the Binger game last night, and Calumet rode up there with the girl. I was like, no, she's not going.
More sore than I am, apparently.
They rocked out on the bus on the way back, I guess, and
It was great.
yeah, Christina and I, we couldn't just let her go.
They followed us.
We got in a car, we
I
just.
went too with my dad's driving.
You're loved just a little bit. If you didn't already know it, just a little bit.
I'm super grateful for everything. That's another thing. Every single person has been so amazing. Like, I really don't feel worthy for everything that people have done for me.
We love you.
Snyder Band is wearing blue in honor of Jenessa and playing Survivor during the football game Friday night.
Awesome.
And we don't even play Snyder.
You had Mac volleyball team or something, right?
Yeah,
Wearing
Mac
blue
volleyball wore
honor.
blue to state.
Wow, this state.
Yeah.
That's
So
the first
many.
time they've been to state volleyball. We go to state all the time, so it's like, but they don't. And so there, and then for them to dedicate that to her, wear the blue, they're green and yellow colors. They wore blue in their hair and on their shoes for that. Alec sent us
Fort Cobb.
stuff.
We hate Fort Cobb.
Not anymore, we're being.
Oh yeah, we're okay with Fort Cobb right now.
Signet, Fletcher,
Sterling,
Sterling,
Elgin.
Apache,
Temple, something like
yeah,
that.
Tipton, Snyder, Church and Temple sent stuff. Churches from all over the place have sent stuff, prayer cards. You guys, of course, you guys have been extremely generous, and it's just been all over the place. It's
She
just
enjoyed all
one
those
thing
cards,
after
by the
another.
way.
Yeah.
They enjoyed making it.
It was very fun.
Can I just ask, what did Fort Cobb get you?
They sent a big flower arrangement and a bear.
That is kind of nice.
I've had some cheer teams from around have gotten me I've gotten a ton of fuzzy socks, coloring books, colored pencils, chopstick, a whole bunch of all that.
Snyder Cheer gave her the entire trilogy of Pitch Perfect.
Oh, good one.
That was awesome.
We've about taken up all the time, I guess. But
No, that's great. Thank you so much for coming.